Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Tuesday, make that Wednesday, and all of our guests today are brought to you by the Vancouver Giants, who open up their Western Hockey League season on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Against the expansion Penticton V's. They've moved, Rick, from the BCHL to the Western Hockey League, and of course for Ron Toigo and company, 25 years old this season. Seems like yesterday. I remember you doing the play-by-play for the first broadcast.
You and I had the radio show. Remember Toigo, Bonner, Gordie Howe all came into studio? It was great.
Yeah. The late, great Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
All right, Canucks press conference has wrapped up. Training camp begins tomorrow in Penticton, Penticton, John Shannon country, or thereabouts. John Shannon joins us now from the 100% Hockey Podcast and the 100% Canucks Podcast. Thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm great, boys. How are you guys?
Lovely.
Penticton, of course, for people who aren't aware, who don't tune in regularly, just down the road from where you grew up in Oliver.
Yeah.
27 miles.
Yeah. It's
exactly the 27 miles. On a good day, it was 27 minutes. On a bad day, it was 29.
One of the great hockey facilities in Canada, if you ask me.
It is.
South Okanagan Event Center. Hey, John, I know you watched the press conference with the Canucks. Did anything stand out for you with Rutherford, Alvin, and Foote?
You know what? I just a personal comment. You gotta just love how transparent Jim Rutherford is. Yeah. I mean, you have to enjoy. And I know that he creates angst when we're talking about Quinn Hughes and the next 24 months. But at the same time, you just have to love his transparency. That he tries to be as honest as possible, tries to make sure that everybody feels that they are that much closer to the organization. And even what Patrick said, trying to find a way to get a second line center, and something we knew all summer long that they were trying to do. I thought it was, I'm not sure it was always the news that Canuck fans wanted to hear, but I do think that it's something that I think that if you're closer, being following the organization, you feel better that these guys are not afraid to tell the truth.
As far as the new head coach goes, Jim Rutherford, speaking of being honest, he compared Adam Foote to Rod Brind'Amour, who's gone on to great things with Carolina. Do you remember what the general feeling was about Rod Brind'Amour back in 2018 when he took over the Carolina Hurricanes with no head coaching experience in the National Hockey League, much like Adam?
Well, the one thing that, he was on the bench a great deal. Yeah. In those days in Carolina, and I think if anything, the thought process was that they were going to go cheap in Carolina. But what quickly happened was they realized that Rod the Bod was the real deal, and that it paid off in spades, and in many ways. In the last two contract negotiations, Rod has done a really good job of protecting his coaching staff and certainly created an aura in that franchise's hockey operations group. I mean, they've done a magnificent job there. The Hurricanes still have a few things to fix, but it certainly isn't because Rod hasn't delivered on every aspect of what was expected of him as the head coach. It's when I heard that today, that's a lofty expectation for Adam, and that's internal pressure from the organization on what Adam Foote can do. The other thing is, I do think that the Canucks have done a good job surrounding Adam with really good, solid people like Kevin Dean and Scott Young, and that will help the organization as it goes forward.
John, we, of course, will be watching Quinn Hughes. You watched Mitch Marner leave Toronto last year. Connor McDavid hasn't signed. Everyone's freaking out in Edmonton. What's the latest with McDavid? What's going on here? Why hasn't he signed?
Well, I don't think he's in any hurry to sign. I mean, this anticipation that you have to be signed before the season starts, is a myth. Take your time, understand where things are. We've all heard Connor say the same thing since he's returned to Edmonton with the captain skates and doing interviews, is that he wants to win in 25-26. So he's basically said that we're going to take that period of time to judge whether this is a place they want to be long term and want to win long term. And Stan Bowman did his press conference this morning in Edmonton just prior to the Vancouver guys, and Stan Bowman said, listen, we've had lots of discussions with Connor, but none of them are about money.
Yep.
None of them are about term.
Yep.
It's all about winning. And that's what Connor McDavid wants to make sure there is the possibility long term, not this season, but long term, of winning in Edmonton.
Well, I think he wants a situation that is in Florida, where guys are taking less, so he doesn't get $20 million. There's no more money left to build around a winner. Look at Ekblad, Marchand, Bennett, all took less. Sam Reinhart from North Vancouver took less in Florida. Is that the way now? Is to build such a good operation that guys are willing to take less to go there?
I think that's always been the way in the cap era, Rick. Yeah. I think that's and I've been on a bit of a soapbox in the last couple of weeks about this one, is that it shouldn't be the player's responsibility to manage the salary cap.
Right.
You have to respect the player's short-term lifespan as a pro player, and really he should be in a position to make as much money as you can. I mean, that's what collective bargaining is all about. That's what the collective bargaining agreement has created. And every one of these guys, whether it's Connor McDavid or eventually Quinn Hughes or Kaprizov or Kyle Connor in Winnipeg, they all have earned the right to go to unrestricted free agency in their professional careers. And this is just the cycle of what we're seeing in professional sports. And hockey still is way behind in many ways what we see certainly in the NBA and certainly in the National Football League. So to have a player for as long as the Oilers have had McDavid, or in the end how long the Canucks will have Quinn Hughes, then at a certain point they have earned the right to decide where they want to play the game. And you have to respect that.
Do you understand why the Rangers named JT Miller their captain, John?
No, but I got a chuckle out of it.
Well, it was good for us yesterday. I'll tell you that.
We had a good day.
You know what? We all know that he is a leader. We've always assumed that. Early in his career, everybody just thought he had a chip on his shoulder and he was bossy. There was a time in Vancouver that if you had said, once Bo got traded, why isn't JT Miller the captain? I don't think anybody would have been surprised about that. So I think that he's always had it in it. I also think the Rangers are trying to change a bit of their culture too. And Chris Drury is trying to change things in New York, and you see that when players are moved, like Jacob Trouba. And you see that with what happened with Chris Kreider. So all of a sudden, in trying to change that culture, Drury has said, we're going to go with the hard-nosed guy, and it may pay off. Chris Drury is he beats to a different drum all the time anyway, and so this one should not be a surprise that we've seen this from Drury, who does his things his own way, and I think he respects for a guy like J.T. Miller to be outspoken.
John, we got a little bit of time here. I want to get your thoughts on this, because you've been, with all due respect, you've been around a while, and I don't know if this story has got enough traction, but former NHLPA Executive Director Bob Goodenow passes away at the age of 72. What impact did he have on the National Hockey League, on the game of hockey? A couple of lockouts, salary cap, disclosure. There's a lot there, John.
Well, the last thing you said, I think, was probably and might be the biggest aspect of what Bob brought to the table, was making sure that there was salary disclosure, and making sure that players signing new deals helped other players get better deals. And by the way, in all these discussions we've talked about with unrestricted free agents, make no mistake about it, there is a great deal of information that goes to and from the Players Association to assist agents and assist players. That started with Bob Goodnow. Yeah. What I can tell you is that Bob did something at a very difficult time in the history of the union, was to galvanize the group. Remember how bad things were at the end of the Allen Eagleson era, Donnie, and it was somebody like Goodnow who took all of this under his shoulder and said, I can do this, and I can make this group stand as one. And that's exactly what he did. He galvanized the players' union. Salary disclosure was early on one of the most important things. At the same time, they were able to improve the marketing of players, the marketing of the NHLPA logo. What you saw was the ability for the players to build a war chest that allowed them to be in a position to stand up to the league, so there was no fears of people losing too much money during those work stoppages. Bob Goodnow did all that. What he did was, even though he lost the fight for the salary cap, I would tell you right now that Bob Goodnow is the reason right now that we are talking about a partnership between the players and the league on a daily basis.
Yeah, he started the conversation. God bless him. John, thanks for this. We'll talk to you next week. I know you'd love to be in Penticton, but we will talk to you next week.
Yes.
Penticton at this time of year is so beautiful. And you're right about the arena. Yeah. And maybe we should just, I know Toigo's watching because he'll be ticked that I'm going to wish the V's luck on Saturday. But you know what? I still get a triple O. So he'll be happy in the end.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll pass the message on to him. Pardon me. He's watching, of course. John, thanks for this. Next week.
Cheers.